Welcome to the Graybeard Chronicles podcast. Your hosts, Brian Halstead and Kevin Harkins, are two gray-bearded patriots who love God, their family and friends, and their country. The Graybeards are here to inspire, inform, and educate you on a myriad of topics they are passionate about. Brian and Kevin have a strong desire to share this with you to help you live your best life. Sit back and enjoy this amazing podcast as the Graybeards pass along the wisdom of the ages.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Graybeard Chronicles. I'm Brian Halstead.
And I'm Kevin Harkins.
And Kevin, we're here to pass along some wisdom of the ages. What the heck does that mean?
We're not perfect, but we do have gray beards. And that means we've got some significant life experience, some life lessons, and some perspectives that are worthy of passing along.
Well, I think that sums it up nicely. Let's get to it.
Hey, dog, what's going on, man?
All right. Yeah, that's a good start.
Yeah.
Right.
How the heck are you?
I'm good, B-Dog.
Cash. Cash is actually your name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cash money.
Yeah. You need the bling. You need the bling around your neck.
At
some point, I need to make some phone calls and maybe get a copy of that Cash video that you recorded a few years ago. You know the one I'm talking about.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yes,
no,
you do.
No such thing.
Yes, you do. Yep, I'll get it. All right, that's a mission for me now.
Okay.
So what's going on, man?
I'm just hanging out.
Nice to have you back here in person.
Yeah, it's nice to be here.
No more remote broadcast tonight.
Right.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it is nice to be here and be in the man cave with all the stuff going on around here.
Now, I did need to pass along a comment that my father shared that he said that when we do the remote stuff and you're in your former office,
yes,
or your new office, either one, that we need to get you a better microphone. That just using the microphone on whatever device you're using is not good enough. So
okay,
we'll do that. We'll get you. I don't know what you're hooking up to, if you use a USB mic or what, but we got to do something.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you, Larry. I appreciate that.
So we'll do it.
Yes. All right. That's great feedback, and I'll get something that's good and hooked right up there.
You know what's weird? I just noticed this as we're recording here. You notice anything different about the screen?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
What am I doing over there?
Yeah, I forgot it's the setting on on the recording.
Are we good? Is it going to be?
Oh, it's fine. I mean, it's I don't know. I don't know if it'll be good or not.
It's going to throw people off.
It might, but let's roll with it and see how it turns out. Yeah, if you do notice that everybody's on the wrong side tonight, and by everybody I mean the two of us, it looks like we maybe have reverse sides here because of the way the camera works. But,
wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's the setting in there that I forgot to do the whole mirror.
Let me see.
thing.
So, okay, here's a test, right?
Well, it messes you up. Like I can't look at the camera when I'm trying to light my pipe because
So for those of you who are watching, I guess I'm raising my right arm. Okay, that's my right arm. Okay, that makes sense. Never mind.
Yeah. So it just looks weird to us because it's not the same
Right.
that it normally is because I forgot to change that setting. So it's all good.
Okay.
So what's new and exciting in your life, man?
No. Like I said, just get up every day and make my list and work my list. I'm grateful that I got another day.
Yeah, amen to that. Amen to that. Constant attitude of gratitude.
That's right.
It's the way to be.
That's it.
That is a way to be.
Right.
It's not necessarily the way to be. Some would argue that it is. I think it's a pretty damn good way to be.
Yeah, I agree. I think it gives you energy, gives you perspective and focus and just goodness that you don't get otherwise.
Yes, indeed. Can you hear me all right? I feel like this microphone's too far away from me.
I got you.
Okay.
I got you perfectly.
I'm having, entanglement issues over here.
Yeah. So what's going on? What are we talking about?
You okay? You having a damn seizure over there? What is going on, man? What are we talking about? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
Well, I just had this occur to me as I was thinking this week about, what would be a good topic of discussion. And this popped into my head. I can't say, a lot of times I can tell you, where it originated, where the thought or the idea originated. Can't do it. Can't do it. Not on this one.
It was a butterfly in Brazil.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's entirely possible.
Yeah.
But it just kind of occurred to me. Let's have a discussion about the difference between friends and acquaintances. What is the difference? Is there a difference? And why does it matter? Why is it important that you know the difference between the two?
Yeah, that's a good point. So I think it's a great topic, and there's all kind of things you could say about it. But what do you think about it? What is the what?
Well, I think there are they are definitely different things, right? So I apologize in advance if this traumatizes anybody or causes you to need to call a counselor. The Facebook friends that you have that are listed, the thousands of them potentially that you have on Facebook that are listed as friends. Yeah, probably not your friends. Not most of them. Anyways, there might be a select few that fall into the category of friends, but for the most part, those are at a minimum, and probably even a maximum, acquaintances. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a spoiler alert there. Your Facebook friends are not your friends. They don't fit the criteria. Yeah. And the difference to me is, a friend is a much more evolved relationship, a much deeper relationship.
Okay.
And it's a relationship. I think that if you were to have to use one word to describe the difference between the two, I think it would maybe teeter back and forth between the word commitment or loyalty. One of the two.
Yeah.
Right. Because I think that's the difference.
I agree.
One of those two things, or both of those things, ultimately, is in a friendship role, you've got that level of commitment and loyalty to that person. It's somebody that lifts you up when you're down, somebody that helps you improve your life, and is interested in your improved circumstances, situation, life in general. Somebody that just gives a shit about you. Acquaintances are different, right? So I think that acquaintances are, well, I'll say it like this. Most people that you interact with on a daily basis, whether it's at work or just cursory interaction here and there, those are acquaintances. Probably not any loyalty involved or any kind of commitment associated with that interaction. Even if we're talking about a coworker, there might be commitments to accomplishing common goals in the workplace and things like that, but there's not that personal or emotional commitment or connection that you have in a friendship relationship.
So, do you need acquaintances?
Oh, I think you need both. I think you absolutely need acquaintances and friends.
Okay. And if you were going to say, so I have several questions for you.
But I also think there's a limit, right? There's a limit to how many you can or should have.
So, how many true deep friendships do you have? Would you? No, I don't. We don't have to count them out by name, but I mean, just generally speaking, how many true deep friendships do you say that you really have?
I guess it all depends on how you categorize true deep friendships, right? What's the criteria associated with that?
That's up to you.
Yeah. No, I think that for me, that translates into like the inner circle,
Yeah.
if you will. And there's probably in an inner circle capacity for me, a dozen.
Okay.
Or less.
Okay. Yep.
Right.
That sounds reasonable. Sounds a little high to me, but
yeah, and I think that's a situational
me.
thing because absent my affiliation with the motorcycle club I'm associated with, that number probably would not be that big.
Right. Yeah. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Because of
my brothers totally
Yeah.
skew that kind of number for me, right?
Right.
And it's even hard for me to pare that down to say just 12 because I know that there's way more connections and much bigger numbers than that. And people that loyalty runs both ways throughout that brotherhood. But it's like that by design.
Yeah, by design. And you're loyal to it, they're loyal to it. And so
Right.
the number can expand. I would say that you're fairly uncommon in that regard, just because this, particular aspect of your life that you have chosen to focus on and become an important part.
Right.
Um,
Because of the things that are important to me, right?
right.
And so we are able to craft a brotherhood that fulfills those things. And I would encourage people to seek those things out in their own lives, whether, I'm not saying it should be a motorcycle club for you. I mean, especially if you don't have a motorcycle. I mean, that's kind of a critical element. But that goes back to the whole loneliness discussion we've had before. I mean, you've got to be connected with other people. And I mean, we're herd animals. You need that.
Yep.
So
Okay.
figure out how to connect with some group.
But 5 minutes ago, I asked you a question, which you still haven't answered. So I'm going to go ahead and.
I think I answered it. What
No,
was the
you
question?
didn't.
All right. What was the question?
Well, why do you need acquaintances?
So need is a strong word. I think, no, I think I'm going to stick with need. I think you do need them because they help to further your progress and facilitate things that you need in the world. Like I said, we're herd animals. We can't do this alone. And there's people that will assist you along the way, but it's also not necessarily somebody that rises to the level of a friend. So in a professional capacity, I'll use the construction industry as an example, right? So do you know a general contractor? Does that general contractor know a carpenter or an electrician? Though you may know a bunch of those people, and those are all acquaintances, not necessarily people that you have friendships with. You relate to them in a professional interaction kind of capacity because you need their services and they need paying customers.
Right.
Right. So those, I think, that's an acquaintance, even though it's a transactional relationship. Those are still acquaintances in my mind.
Yeah.
So that's just one example of
that's a good example.
Yeah.
I like that. So here's a story that that I'll tell about myself that I think most people can relate to to some degree. And if you can't, I hope that someday you will be able to. So I won't name this friend, but I have a friend. I'll call him a very close friend.
All right.
Who I've known for a very long time. And in the early stages of our friendship, I didn't realize sort of what was forming and developing, that it was going deeper than I realized, just kind of going with the flow. But as the years went on, we became closer and closer. Not like we were purposefully trying to do that. It just sort of happened. And then, due to life and circumstance and location, literally thousands of miles away from each other, our friendship, it's almost like we pushed the pause button on it. Not that the friendship was ever paused, but our interactions became much less frequent because he had his life, I have my life. We were in no way did we overlap geographically, professionally. There was just no, and so years went by like this. And I just sort of thought in my head, I didn't really sort of break out a piece of paper and write it down and work out the calculus, but I thought that friendship's pretty much dead, just because I hadn't put any life into it. And what I discovered after some, then we became reacquainted with it. This is years ago now, reacquainted with each other and caught back up very quickly. And what I found is there was not a missed step in terms of the commitment and the loyalty to that friendship.
Isn't that cool?
That made such an impression on me.
Yeah, it's like you just hit the pause button.
Right.
And then when you re-engage, you just hit the
and
play button and you're good.
Honestly, until this point in my life, I didn't realize that there were people out there like that, honestly. I just thought, friends come and go and they fade into your life, they fade out of your life. This was different. And, to this day, this person is deeply meaningful to me. and now we're in touch regularly, and it's one of those things that just the word that you said early in this podcast was loyalty. That
Yep.
no matter what I've done, what I've said, what's happened, this guy is always there. He's got my back, and I didn't. That is such a rare and valuable thing. And for me, that's one of the takeaways of all of this conversation is, are you, are we, are any one of us that kind of friend to somebody where it don't matter what they've been through, what they've done, what they've said, you're there for them. And I'm not saying that you allow them to wander off the reservation in an inappropriate way and all kinds of different things. That's not what I'm talking about. But even if they do, you're still their friend.
Yeah.
You're still there for them.
Yeah. And I think there's different kinds of, or different, we'll say different categories of friendship where the common theme is that loyalty.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you don't need the regular interaction.
That's correct.
Like once the loyalty is established,
Right.
the loyalty's established.
And it's there forever.
It stays. It doesn't diminish over time.
Right. Yeah.
It's not a perishable item.
Right. It's amazing and it's powerful.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's it can really sort of rescue people.
Yeah, and it's it's there's comfort in it, and just the ability to interact with these people, right?
Right.
So somebody that's a friend in the friend category. I'll give you a similar example to yours, right? So towards the end of last year, I was fortunate enough to be visited by one of my Marine brothers that I hadn't seen since we were both 19 years old.
Yep.
Right. And that was a long time ago.
It was a really long time. I mean, it was
damn
like
time ago.
unbelievably long time ago.
Not as long for me as it is for you, but
No,
but still a long time ago nonetheless.
Yeah.
And I swear, it was like same situation. Never missed a beat. Sometimes you'll run across people and you have that weirdness of conversation, like what do I talk about with this person? And it's just kind of like uncomfortable. These relationships aren't like that.
Right.
It was as soon as we saw each other, it was just like, hey, last time we saw each other, we were 19 years old, and now we're a lot older than 19, and we can still have the same conversation.
Right.
I mean, just that same level of comfort and familiarity that never went away.
Right.
And I think it's awesome. And Bees, if you're listening or watching, I'm talking about you. And I love your brother, and I think that was cool. I appreciate you stopping by, and it was nice to reconnect after all those years. And it's a continuing thing now. We have more frequent contact. We won't let 35 plus years transpire between the next contact.
More than that, but I'm not counting.
I said plus.
Anyway,
I said 35 plus. That's Marine Corps math. I don't want to get too close because I might get the number wrong.
That's a good point. So yeah, I think your description of acquaintances is spot on. You need them; they're good for your network. And the thing is, it's not that you treat these people any differently, but there's just something about the relationship that is different, and it's an acquaintance, and you can pick them up the phone and you can talk to them, and you can get stuff done, and you can work with them, you can help them, they can help you. There's all kind of stuff like that can happen. But they're not those really deep things in terms of friendship. And the other thing, and many people said this, and now I live it, the older you get, the smaller this number of really close friends becomes.
There's a lyric in a Kid Rock song that I love. It says something to the effect of, I had plenty of friends before I met you. I don't need any more.
Right.
Not necessarily true. Right. I mean, I have plenty of friends that, and there's different levels of friendship.
Right.
And at the same time, I'm certainly not closed to new ones. And I am also not, on the hunt either. If that makes sense.
Yep.
So they're, you've heard the saying that, people come into your life for a season, a reason, or a lifetime, or something to that effect.
Huh.
Right.
I heard that.
Or maybe it's reason, season, or a lifetime, but I'm hooked on the cable there. See that shit?
You're hooked on something.
but yeah, they come into your life for a reason, season, or a lifetime, and you have to figure that out. I appreciate all the relationships in my life,
You bet.
and completely treasure the friendships.
Right.
Now I have a question for you, because I found some interesting information when I was kind of diving into this whole subject matter. Is there a maximum number in your mind of friendships or relationships that you can have?
I think so. Depending on the person and depending on their personality and whether they're an introvert, extrovert, there's variables that impact this. But I'm going to speak now about close friendships. There's close friendships. I mean, deep, meaningful, close friendships. If you have more than, I'll be on the high end. I think this is the high end. If you have more than 10, I'm not sure I believe you. I just, you know, 10 close friends, probably five.
Right.
Five is more the number
Yeah.
of really close, deep, meaningful friendships that you feed off of, that you gain energy from, that make you feel better, that make you want to serve better, that make you want to be a better person. Those are the kind of friendships that I'm talking about. And for me, it's five or less, even really deep, close friendships. I mean, but is there a number like God ordained? Boom, here's the maximum number of close friends. No.
Yeah. So this number that I wanted to share is really more of it kind of expands outside of just the friendship category and is into the relationship category.
Okay.
Which acquaintances can fall into that as well.
Yep.
Right. Because acquaintances are important, and I don't want to downplay the interaction that people have in a working relationship, because those are important relationships as well, even though they might not rise to the level of a true friendship. They are certainly important acquaintances in your life and colleagues that you interact with,
Sure.
for the betterment of all of you. But there's a book sitting in front of us here, and you can see that, The Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell. And there's an area in that book where he talks about a British anthropologist, and I'm the guy's first name is escaping here. It's Robin Dunbar, and Dunbar's rule, or Dunbar's principle of 150. So that 150 being the maximum number of people in any given situation that you can interact with effectively. And it goes on to talk about where this basis came from, and watching different tribes of people, and the numbers that they'll let their individual tribes get up to, and then there's some religious organizations that have longstanding historical information that shows that once their groups get to a certain point, somewhere around the 148 mark, they break them and split them up into two and let them work again and start building back up. That they figured out that this 150 actually is a meaningful thing, and you get beyond that, then you can't truly know and effectively interact with that many people. And the business that they cited in here I thought was really cool is Gore, right? So the folks that make Gore-Tex, and God bless them, the folks that make that patch that plugged the hole in my heart that caused me some problem here not too long ago.
Yeah.
They have a medical division that I did not know about until that happened. But that company has a phenomenal model on how they treat that. And they know, their founder knew about this rule of 150, and they create their factories like that. And their factories won't have like this particular factory does XYZ, and they won't have any more than 150 people working out of that factory. Another factory may be close to them down the road, but at least there's a large enough parking lot that is true separation. 150 maximum in that one. When it approaches that number, and this is how they figure it out, right? They joke about it in the book. Is how, the question was asked, how do you know when it's time to build another one? And they said they build their buildings with 150 parking spots, and when people start parking on the grass, they know it's time to build another factory.
Okay.
How simple
Yeah.
and how freaking badass is
Right.
that
Right.
to think about?
Right. That's very cool. I
Yeah.
agree.
So, no wonder they're creating life-changing things like Gore-Tex and life-saving things like that little device they put in my heart to keep that thing from doing things it shouldn't. Yeah, that's amazing. Shout out to, I think it's actually WL Gore is the official name of the company, but
Okay.
Gore, you know him.
Yeah.
You know him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And I think that's, I'm glad that we were perfectly aligned on that. I said 5 and you said 150. So we should.
I'm not talking about close
I
friends.
know,
I'm just
I know.
talking about that the ability of a number of relationships you can manage.
No,
But
that's spot on.
And I think you're talking about
Right.
your inner circle, and
Right.
I absolutely agree with that. Although I think mine is bigger because of my, individual circumstance.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Well, there you go. Be a friend, be an acquaintance, whatever you choose to be with respect to the individual that you're talking about. Be a
Yeah.
good one. Be a
Yeah,
good one.
and understand the difference, right? Because I don't know
Right.
that it's a good idea to be treating your friends like acquaintances and your acquaintances like friends.
Right.
There's disappointment in both of those, and potential for bad interactions when you don't understand the difference.
Right.
So
There you go.
yeah, be a good friend, be a good acquaintance, and no matter who you are, where you are, or what you're doing, making friends, making acquaintances.
Pretty
But
good.
make sure between this podcast and the next, you take time
To enjoy the ride.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Graybeard Chronicles. Please subscribe so you'll receive notification when new episodes are available. To learn more about the Graybeards, visit their website, graybeardchronicles.com.